So I mentioned a few weeks ago, or this might have been a month ago actually. I picked up a controller for my phone. I have like a Galaxy Fold phone, and I picked up one of those controllers that like slots onto the side of it. And
Yeah.
I had a bus trip this weekend. I was going to visit family, so I had 5 hours on a bus. And I was talking to you guys, and I was like, I'm gonna play Monster Hunter on the bus. I set up streaming on my PC, which was kind of an ordeal. I had to use like a weird fork of Moonlight called Apollo, but screen goes black on my PC and shows up in the correct resolution on my phone, like to any arbitrary resolution. And I was able to play Monster Hunter for a few hours on the bus with 5G, tolerable
That's very
latency.
impressive.
As long as I had 5G, the speed was like enough that I could like do full like Mac, it was like over 200 megabit connection. So it's like full fat, full resolution. I mean, it's only 1080p going to my phone anyway. Because of the aspect ratio and everything on a foldable. It ends, it doesn't support 4:3, so it ends up being roughly a 1080p screen. But it was awesome. I hunted a few tempered Gormagala to prove a point. Worked great until the bus went far enough that I switched towers, where it essentially fully disconnected and
As you got
reconnected.
closer to West Virginia.
No, even in Pennsylvania, like every time you switch to a new tower, it was
Okay.
like connecting to a new Wi-Fi network. Like you would essentially completely disconnect and reconnect. So it'd be like about a second that the game would be frozen on a single frame, and that would happen every like
That can be pretty catastrophic in
20
Monster
minutes
Hunter.
or something. Yeah. But I was able to like hunt a few tempered Gormagala, which for my money is probably the hardest hunt in the game. So to
I
prove
just
it could
find
be
that
done.
really amazing that because I do streaming all the time now, but it's always like either I'm at my house streaming like a few feet away,
Yeah.
or I'm several hundreds of miles away and streaming, but I'm never moving. I've never
Yeah.
tried that before.
When the bus was
So-
actually like, we had a few times we had to stop at like a gas station for 20 minutes or whatever. They do breaks. And that was like great. I could actually like do a full hunt, zero issues doing that. I mean, not certainly non-zero latency,
Right.
but I was winning these fights, and it's not an easy game. Well,
and it like
it's
obviously not going to be as good as Wi-Fi, but
yeah.
the fact that it's even playable is quite impressive to me.
And the fact that like
we're already here, basically.
whatever phone you have, I think this controller was $30. So like whatever phone you already have, $30. It's a Bluetooth controller, which I'm sure doesn't help the latency, but it just doesn't bother me for the cost. For like 30 bucks, you hook this on and you've got a streaming solution that works. It's going to work with your PS5. It's going to work with your Xbox, I think, and it's going to work with your PC, like whatever you want to do. Everybody's got a phone pretty much that can handle these apps, and you can slap a $30 controller on there, and you've got, a pretty good, probably a better screen than you could get on any handheld device if you have a flagship phone.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I feel like I need to try it now because I had just sort of written it off. I didn't even think it was possible, but
I mean, you could even use your PlayStation Portal probably, because I know you prefer that. By using like a phone hotspot, you're just going to introduce more latency, though.
I have tried using a phone hotspot, and that doesn't seem to work too well. But
Yeah. The thing I need to set
yeah.
is my tablet, because that's 4K, and I could play on that at my parents' house.
Right. Yeah,
Couldn't do
but
that on the
using
bus.
cellular data for streaming, wow, it's just
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I don't have unlimited data. I do have unlimited data.
don't. Okay,
I don't
was
have
gonna
a
say
cap.
then that wasn't a very smart move.
I do have unlimited data, so it didn't bother me. The only thing, the bus also had Wi-Fi, and I could
I
have
bet it
used
wasn't
that.
very good though.
It was 90 meg.
That's
So-
wild. Way
so
better than I.
It
would
would have been
expected.
fine, but I was sitting there like, there's like 30, 40 people on this bus. We're all like trying to get by. I'm not gonna hog 40 or 50 of our
Right.
90 megs so that I could stream Monster Hunter.
That's really
that would
funny.
make me a monster.
Yeah, just consume all of it.
But it was just cool. I mean, I remember I was a very early adopter for game streaming. Back when it was like an open source app called Caney that some dude had made, and I had it installed. This was in like 2011, 2012, something like that. And it
Yeah.
like barely worked, but I had divorced parents, and I didn't want to haul my PC around, so I figured out how to stream emulators and stuff to my phone when I was at my dad's. And it's just crazy to me how far things have gone. I mean, it also helps that I have synchronous gigabit internet here in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
So my upload speed is crazy fast. That helps a lot.
Oh
Like,
yeah, that's key. If your upload speed isn't there, then none of this is gonna work
yeah,
for
it's
you.
not feasible. But it's just I don't know. And I was an OnLive early adopter too for as far as streaming from like a cloud solution. It's just wild to me how far this has come. I'm really
Yeah, and
satisfied
especially
with it.
because like this is possible now with 5G. Like,
Yeah,
and that makes me think that once we reach 6G speeds, then it's just over. Like, it's just going to be kind of easy to do thing, which
I,
very
it
cool.
it makes my Steam Deck feel a little silly because now that the use case for that is kind of only when I don't have internet. You know, like on a flight, uh, because it's just kind of worse than my phone with the controller. Uh,
Well, okay, so forgive my ignorance, but aren't your games downloaded locally to the Steam Deck?
to the Steam Deck, yeah. So if I don't have internet, the Steam Deck is better. But if I have internet that I can stream from my PC, it's going to be higher frame rate because my phone is 120 hertz display. It's going to be OLED.
But you will trade off like increased latency.
Right. But that just
Yeah,
wasn't.
and
I
I
mean,
guess
Monster Hunter is the
depending on the game,
probably
yeah,
most latency sensitive game I routinely play, and I was fine with it. So
yeah. Oh, very cool. Hey, and welcome back to Game Talk. I'm your host, Sam, and today I'm joined by Connor
hey guys,
and Mike.
Hello.
And next week, we have a very special episode planned for everyone. But for this week, we're going to talk about operating systems. Now, that might sound very boring to you, but we'll try our best to make it fun. So we're talking about OSes for consoles, OSes for PC, game platforms like Steam, and Connor, why don't you take it away?
well let me sell this to you as a non-boring topic. Do you remember in 2007 or 2008, and depending on when you were able to finally score one, when you first fired up the Nintendo Wii and those beautiful channels appeared on your screen and you pointed a Wii remote to select like the Mii Maker, a built-in function on the Wii, and like the pure ecstasy a child feels as they create their first Mii? And tell me that's boring.
Yeah, I don't know. I have strong feelings on certain OSs. The Wii OS, since we're already talking about it, that was a kind of one of a kind thing, right? Because it was basically trying to be like you point your remote at this thing and use motion to actually simulate a mouse of sorts and just click on
Yeah.
elements of the screen, and that was just like, whoa, we haven't
I
really
think,
seen anything like that.
do we want to
before.
like rank these? Because it's S tier for me. Like, do you
Yeah,
just
S tier? Okay,
it's
I
an
don't know
S
about
tier.
that.
The Wii,
The Wii,
UI?
what could it have possibly done better?
Binless annoying.
Oh,
It was
It
I don't
was
know, like
okay.
did your like Wii remote not work?
No, it was just super gimmicky. Like
Yeah.
I as much as I like the idea of pointing a remote at the screen, looking like an idiot doing it, the fact that it had no other option.
It did if you had I think
didn't
if
they
you
have
had a
like a pro controller or something?
yeah, if you had a
I did
classic
not
controller
I
plugged
did not
in,
have
you
one.
could select stuff with a joystick. I'm
So
pretty sure.
if my sensor bar, say, got caught in a vacuum cleaner
Use
and
skill
the
issue.
wire got annihilated while I was at my grandmother's,
Then you basically don't even have a Wii
the
because
Wii's
most of the
useless.
games wouldn't work.
Yeah, the Wii's useless.
Yeah,
True story. This happened.
I think the Wii is peak. And it's also
And
like one of the
it-
first ones that is like worth talking about, I think. Anything
I also think like it ushered in. I mean, like our LG TVs use the same kind of
Oh, really?
I think
Yeah.
elements now, right? Like you point your remote at it.
diegetically,
I didn't know that. That's
like
cool.
vibes wise, the original Xbox and PS2 have some of the best like bare
The original
bones
Xbox
OSs.
it's really good.
Like
The-
a
Yeah.
graphics designer sat there and made a piece of art that no one would ever see except in the worst of circumstances.
Yeah, when you get scared when the PS2
Yeah.
City shows up.
Right.
Like
So it's interesting you bring up the PS2 and the Xbox because to me, the console UIs don't really start until PS3 360 Wii generation.
I agree
because-
for the most part, but I do like that Mike brought it up because the
Yeah,
GameCube one is also iconic.
because
the GameCube
before
one's
that
neat.
they're very kind of extremely bare bones,
They're just
very
BIOS.
utilitarian. Ideally, you wouldn't even see them most of the time when you're booting up a game.
I mean,
the
it-
PlayStation 1
before
had
the
a CD
GameCube-
player in there too.
Yeah. Yeah, the PS1 is worth noting for that, but other than that, anything pre-GameCube, Xbox 360, or pre-GameCube, Xbox PS2 is you just pop a game in and the game turns on. There's no
right.
there's nothing
and
to
I
see.
do
which is
kind of
peak.
miss that.
It's extremely good. Yeah.
Based.
Extremely good. The
yeah,
Game Boy Advance. The
Right, like, but as technology gets more complicated, we can't really have that anymore.
No, it
Honestly,
would make
that was-
downloadable games
That was
tricky.
always like one of the biggest selling points of console over PC, where you
Yeah.
just
I still think
you
it is.
just plug it in and play.
because
and to a
Windows
deg-
is
to
such
a
a steaming
degree,
pile.
Yeah, Windows
So-
sucks, but to a degree, it's like that. But it's not quite as seamless as it used to be.
Definitely.
Yeah, go ahead.
I mean, like you have mid-gen refreshes of the OS, Microsoft.
Oh my god, yeah, when they
Microsoft
ruined
does
that
do that.
360.
Yeah.
The
PlayStation doesn't do that,
360 was kind of really good with its original UI. Like
Oh, the
everything
blades?
made sense. The blades just made
The
sense.
blades were great.
That's
And then NXT
for
comes
me-
out and they completely get rid of blades.
yeah, for me, and I fully acknowledge this is probably all nostalgia, but the blades are the greatest console UI of
Yeah.
all time. I
See,
love the
The
blades.
cross media bar was kind of bad. The PS3 UI was
See, for my money, I
Not
was going to
great.
say the PS3 is like one of the best. I think it's the best Sony's ever done.
Yeah.
That's not a high
so
bar to
I-
clear, but
I like the PS3 UI, but it was very
slow.
I guess business like. It
Utilitarian.
was slow. Yeah,
it
it was
super slow and business-like.
But
And they
it
kept-
was just like, here is everything, you
The
know,
worst
and like you
part
can just
about
scroll
it
down.
Is Sony's one of those console manufacturers that if it ain't broke, they won't fix it. So we've had roughly the same UI.
no,
for
that's not fair. It's
3
gotten way
console
worse.
generations. Yeah, it's
No,
just
no, no,
gotten
no.
worse. They've
It's
just
gotten
made it
a
worse.
million times worse.
The PS3, no, that's not true. So the
Okay.
PS3 UI was very much a unique thing.
Yeah.
But the PS4 UI was like completely different.
Way
right?
worse. Yeah.
It brought
But
like
it
the
was decent. It was usable.
It's
Now
got
the
ads on it.
PS5
Okay.
UI. Oh, good lord! I hate the PS5
I haven't
UI.
seen the PS5
I hate,
UI.
I
See,
hate that
okay.
it takes 3 extra steps to turn the console off through the UI.
Yeah.
You have to hold down the button. You have to go down to the bottom menu. You have to scroll over, select the power button to a different sub menu, and then select power off.
that
you
that
used to
is
be able to
annoying.
just
I will give you
Hold
that.
the button, and it popped up the power menu on the PS4, and then
Yeah.
you could turn the console off.
Yeah,
They added
No,
an
that-
entire extra step.
that
2
that
steps.
is the biggest gripe I have with the PS5 UI. But I will go against the grain here. I know most people don't like the PS5 UI. I love the PS5 UI. I just think it's so sleek looking, and I just love
It's
like
too clean.
using it.
I
I love
like-
I love the cleanness.
I want messier UIs. I want us to go back to
Oh,
UIs
no.
that look like they had like some style to them.
That's why I can't stand the PS4 one. It's just like so in your face, and I actually like really struggle to find stuff in it.
So
Give
what I
me-
do like about the PS4 UI, and it continued on to the PS5 UI, is that the games themselves were a big element of it. So it
They
has all your most recently played games in a row, and you
Mhm.
can just quickly go between them. And obviously that wasn't the case on PS3 with the cross media bar, but for PS4 and PS5, the games themselves became a big part of the UI. Even bigger on PS5, where like it's so minimal as to the main thing you see on the UI when you boot up just are the games, like the last 8 games you played. And
Well,
then from there, if you want to go some level deeper, the UI gets a little messier.
I'm-
But
Personally, getting really tired of minimalist UIs
Couldn't be me. I
for
love
at
'em.
least consoles. It's not as fun to boot up a console now and just see like the bare minimum menus. Everything's like an icon
I
compared
think,
to what we had earlier, where it was this almost beautiful work of art.
so for my money, and this is more front end than OS, I guess. But for my money, the 2 best user interfaces in gaming are the Steam Deck, these are like tied for number 1. The Steam Deck, which just boots in, and like you said, Amit, on the PS5, it just shows your most recently played games. If you scroll down, it's showing you news related to your most recently played games.
That's very
And-
much like the PS5. Yeah.
And you can go to but there's no ads on this. There's nothing about a game you don't own anywhere on this, unless you intentionally open a store. And so I love the Steam Deck for that. It's the same exact
Steam's-
UI to use Steam Big Picture mode on PC.
Yeah. Okay. Original Big Picture was awful.
Original Big Picture was
It
good
was
for the time,
so bad.
but it was clearly emulating really bad things from the PS4 and the Xbox One.
Even Steam's like storefront UI is so clean and easy to use.
Yeah.
Everything makes sense as to where it's located.
Yeah,
but
Steam,
it's very
Steam is very
clean.
intuitive,
It's
right?
It's a little clinical.
And but like as a PC UI, I feel like that needs to be the case.
Well,
Yeah.
you're,
Like
you're talking about like the actual Steam, like the window.
I'm talking about when I click Steam and I look
Yeah.
at my library and stuff.
I'm talking about Steam Big Picture mode, which is like
Oh, okay.
their console,
the more console
front end,
right?
Yeah, and I actually don't. I mean, like you said, it works. It's fine for PC as a game launcher, just the normal Steam window. But I spend far more time using Big Picture mode if I'm on my TV or something. I'm not using the Windows version.
Oh yeah, I using the Windows version on a TV would give me an
It's
aneurysm. I'm
ridiculous,
sorry.
yeah.
Like it's
But they're also always improving it. Steam like whatever comes up when you shift tab, it's like the equivalent of pressing the Xbox button or the PlayStation button. Like that
The
menu
Steam
has
overlays.
gotten the Steam
so
overlay is
much
really
nicer.
good these days.
It's so
It
good
has-
now.
It's got space for you to take notes on your games, and you can keep your notes on the screen like transparent as an overlay. That was so handy for Satisfactory, and Factorio.
Yeah,
And
literally
you can
any
also like
game.
have a web browser open and like have that overlaid on your game. So if you only have one monitor like me, but you want to keep a stream open while you're playing like picture in picture, you can do stuff like that. I really like Steam, but it is kneecapped by the fact that it is attached to Windows, which is like pure dog water. Like as far as operating systems go, I think Windows is probably the worst you can do on anything. I hate Windows.
Yeah, not necessarily anymore. You can use Steam on anything now.
Yeah, but you're probably on Windows. Yeah, you can do Steam on, I mean, preferably Steam
Linux,
OS
yeah.
on Linux.
Yeah.
That's where I would like to be. But the game
And-
compatibility, for it being my only option, the game compatibility is still not there for me.
Proton's getting there though. It's scary.
The second I can play like Game Pass and Fortnite, like Windows is gone. I hate
Yeah.
using Windows.
I will back you up on that. I really dislike Windows, and I really dislike how Microsoft basically just tried to Windowsify their Xbox UI.
Yeah, I think that the
Yeah.
Blades were the last good user interface we will ever get from Microsoft, because the Xbox One
because they
and
insist on Windows now,
Yeah.
which is very annoying. Like
the
they
Xbox
wanna-
One and
yeah.
the Series X are both atrocious. Like
the
crimes
Series
against
X gives
humanity.
me the Series X, and I know some people really like the Series X UI. Couldn't be me,
Mm-mm.
but like the Series X UI really gives me Windows 8 vibes, and I'm just not a fan.
Windows 8 was one of the worst to ever do it. It was so bad.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
the
I really
Blades-
think
Oh, looking at
the blades.
was
Yeah,
so
I can't
nice.
stress enough. Yeah, I'm right with
The
you.
blades
Mike.
were good.
The blades were the best. The blades, and I know like anyone outside of our age will think we're crazy, but like
No, I don't think
Okay.
so. As someone who never owned an Xbox 360 and like mostly saw the Blades long after they were out of commission, they were not in use anymore. I still think it's by far the best Xbox ever did.
I forgot the 360 had a third UI, their Metro interface, which emulated Windows 7, Windows 8.
Windows 8, yeah.
I
No,
forgot.
Windows
the
8
NXE,
is such a mess.
The NXE also looks bad though. Looking at pictures. Oh, it's just bad.
Yeah.
It's like a cross media bar, but worse.
So like if we're comparing and contrasting, I think Xbox had the best to start with the blades. And
Yeah.
I still think that's like the UI to beat on console. I loved that UI. But ever since then they've been getting worse. I think Series X is a marginal improvement over one. They're very similar though.
Yeah, I was
And
going to say, if you showed me both, I couldn't tell you which was which.
Yeah, I think they're almost exactly the same.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think the conversation gets a little more interesting when you talk about PlayStation and Nintendo. And we haven't really talked about Nintendo much besides the Wii.
The Wii's peak.
The Switch UI is so minimalist. How do
it's
we
a
feel
little
about
bland
that?
for me. I would like it. I think the one thing that it needs is when you are hovering over a game, I would like to see the entire theme changed to that game. That's something I love when
Okay.
like Emulation
PlayStation
Station
5
does
does
that.
that.
PlayStation does that. And you can set up a Steam Deck to do that, although it takes a little extra work. It's not the default. I
See,
think
that's just another reason, man.
Yeah,
the
no,
PS5 UI,
I
like,
don't think that's a
not
win for the
only
Steam
does the
Deck.
whole picture change, the music from the game starts playing too.
Yeah,
It's such
and
a
I think
nice
that's really
touch.
cool. I think that
Yeah.
adds a lot. I think it should be disableable, because not everybody likes that. Some people like something more minimalist, but
And it does seem to be like a developer choice, because some developers don't add the music or
Yeah.
anything. So, but most do.
Nintendo thinks very highly of the Switch UI. You can tell because they used an identical UI in Tears of the Kingdom to select your fusion items, and also in Echoes of Wisdom to select your echoes. And in both of those instances, it's horrible. Actually, no, you know what? I'm going to say all 3 instances, it's a little horrible, because if you own a sizable Nintendo Switch library, I think it would be actually hell to try to find a specific game on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
I don't have that problem because I mostly use cartridges and I don't have that many digital games. But I think if I had like 100 games, which is like the highest I think you could reasonably have, that's pretty high. Even like 30 or 40 digital games, it's really annoying to find anything.
Yeah, you have to like scroll away to the right, then click all games, then go
Yeah.
through their kind of limited sorting, filtering options.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I thought, and I think this was the prevailing like school of thought when when the Switch launched, is that okay, this is a bare bones UI, they're going to patch it later, but
No.
that was just the UI.
And that's weird
Like,
because it's a significant downgrade over the 3DS UI, for instance, which still is not amazing, but at least like the density of information it's showing you at any one time. It has folders. I don't think the Switch ever got folders.
I don't think so.
The Nintendo 3DS had folders you could sort your games into. And I have done that because I have a modded 3DS, so I have a lot of weird stuff on there.
The best
retro games and
implementation
stuff.
of folders that I've used actually was on PS4. PS4 had a great folder implementation
Yeah.
that was kind of nerfed for PS5.
I hate to say it. Best folder's got to be Windows.
Well, okay, come on. That's
Yeah, I know.
But yeah, the Switch, I don't know, like and not only that, the eShop is so bare bones too.
The eShop is so bad that I have gone to using it's a fan-made site called Better eShop, and I do all of my Nintendo
That
Switch.
was the biggest one for me, where it was just like, this clearly is some kind of beta alpha UI. It was like for the eShop, and they
and
just
it's so
never
slow.
8+ years later, they never changed it, which is baffling to me.
Yeah. The Wii U
that's
one
one area where Nintendo is far behind both PlayStation and Xbox for their eShop, and that's important, right? Like, that's where everyone buys their games now.
Yeah.
Physical is becoming much less of a component of purchasers' like buying patterns.
100%.
And the Switch eShop is not it. So hopefully the Switch 2 gets a much improved version.
It would take so little. I mean, well, actually, you know what? This is a little off topic, but I think the biggest thing that the Switch eShop needs is like better quality control. I mean, it's worse than
I think all the stores need that.
It's worse than Steam though. Like, and I think Steam is pretty bad on this
Steam's
front.
pretty bad. Yeah.
But Nintendo is worse. Like it's just detritus like shoveled into your mouth the second you open the Switch eShop. It's horrible. Better eShop.
That is a whole separate conversation, because like everyone needs to do better at that. It's ridiculous how much trash is just in your face at all times using these storefronts.
It's very difficult as a consumer. Like, I don't know that it was better before. And we should probably just do a full episode on eShops, honestly. Somewhere down the line. Do you guys remember the Wii U UI at all?
No,
barely.
I didn't use the Wii U.
Nobody really used it. It was just like, what if the Wii one was a little bit worse, basically? Like, it was on the touchscreen on the gamepad.
Yeah,
like,
I remember the gamepad.
on the TV,
did it have
there were
like,
just
did it
Wiis
have
walking around.
channels?
Yeah.
Did it
pretty
have
much.
channels like the Wii? Okay, yeah.
I think. And
It's
it
so
had
hard to
like the
remember.
full, you could boot it into Wii mode, and it was just a Wii.
I remember that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Wii.
yeah, it kind of nothing to talk about
It
there.
didn't help Nintendo's case for distinguishing the Wii U from the Wii as a separate machine.
No, it didn't. You know what? You know what's actually really horrible about the Wii U? This is an aside, but it had like a separate laser to read Wii discs from the one that gets used for Wii U discs. And that laser
Okay.
had a much higher failure rate. So there are a lot of
okay.
Wii U's out there that cannot play Wii games anymore.
That sucks.
That's
crazy.
wild.
That's like the main reason you'd want to use your Wii U.
Yeah,
in,
no, it has a much better
2025.
library. Yeah. Tragic. And it had an HDMI port, which the Wii did not have. So it was like super useful. But too bad, I guess. Let's talk
You
portable a minute.
I was gonna bring up the Nintendo DS.
PictoChat is so goated, so beyond imagination goated that like the DS clears. The DS is so good.
Well, I think it's interesting from the perspective of that they really, again, were sort of ahead of their time, where handhelds and consoles alike didn't have like boot up into the UI, then boot up into the game.
Yeah.
Until really, like I said, PS3, 360, Wii.
I kind of think the
But
only
but
reason
the DS had that.
I
Yeah.
think the only reason the DS had that was that it had 2 cartridge slots. It had
Right,
the DS
because
slot,
then you'd have to pick like which game you wanted
Yeah.
to play. Yeah.
and then they just were like, okay, we'll throw download play in here, and okay, we'll throw like a weird clock.
PictoChat.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, let's
some
come
weird
up with
little
some things
utility
to fill
stuff.
this screen.
I don't even know.
Yeah.
I don't think you managed your Wi-Fi connections from that menu. I think every individual game had to like boot into the Wi-Fi menu. If
That's
I'm remembering
hilarious.
right.
I don't remember. I don't remember Wi-Fi on the DS. I do remember it on the 3DS.
The DS, just while we're on the topic, the DS did have like online multiplayer games like Metroid Prime Hunters, like an online first-person shooter for your Nintendo DS.
Yeah.
God, crazy
It
console.
was a quaint time.
I think the 3DS UI is actually like probably the best Nintendo's done. I think it's really good. It's very reminiscent of the Wii with its channels.
Right, like
You have
the
the
little
like
bubbles.
you have the like 3D diagram spinning around of whatever app you have selected on the top screen, and some of those were like pretty interesting. I really liked it. I
Yeah.
thought it was super fun.
Well, speaking of that, that kind of reminds me of the Vita UI as well, which was very
UI
strange, but like
Garbage. I hate
it was
this
just a
shit.
bunch of circles,
Yeah, a bunch of bubbles.
like little pucks. They weren't even really bubbles. They were like kind of like pucks,
Yeah.
like hockey pucks.
I have a modded Vita, and I'm so upset that they didn't just stick with the PSP UI, which was just the crossbar.
Yeah.
The PSP had basically
that
the same crossbar as the
language-
PS3.
And again, I realize nostalgia is a big factor in this, but that language of just the cross media bar,
Mhm.
I think like in the PSP, PS3 generation was very good.
Yeah, me too.
And I kind of wish Sony built on that. But I do get their idea for change because like it was very kind of business-like.
There was also just something about like the calm music the PS3 played, and like you got to kind of select the background shade, but it always had that gradient to it.
Right. Yeah.
I really like it. To
I
this
really
day.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And actually, so when so this year is the PS5's 30th anniversary, right? So they had that or the PlayStation's 30th anniversary.
I was gonna say
anniversary.
PS5's 30th.
and- well, I was going to say on PS5 they had this thing where you could select a UI from any of the previous generations,
Yeah.
right? PS1, 2, 3, or 4, or just keep
Yeah.
it 5. And they had a special anniversary edition of the 5. And it was great. They had
Yeah.
it up there for several months. In fact, it was so popular when they brought it down, people complained and they said they're going to bring it back.
I would complain.
But I switched. I mean, obviously I tried all of them out. I switched to PS3 and kept it there.
Yeah.
And it kept obviously it was still the PS5 UI, but it borrowed a lot from the PS3. And one thing I really liked is that they kept the sounds from all the consoles.
Yes.
So
Dude,
like it was all the PS3 sounds when I was on my PS5, and I loved it.
Let's talk startup sounds real quick while we're
Oh my
on this
gosh.
whole-
Oh yeah,
The PS1
That's-
startup sound is
So good.
unparalleled. It
Yeah.
is
Oh,
the-
PS2 is hard to
Yeah.
contend with as well.
The GameCube as well.
the GameCube is good.
Oh,
Both the Game Boy and the Game Boy Advance were both insanely good.
oh my god!
And
I can
it's-
hear it right now.
Yeah.
It's so iconic.
And I hate that
Uh,
Nintendo kind of abandoned this because I can't.
Yeah, what's
no,
the
the Wii-
startup
the Wii
sound for
had
the
the, like,
Switch?
The Wii had it's the
Oh, the Switch noise,
click,
right?
yeah.
which is fine.
Yeah,
The Wii
it's not
had
as
that
good.
like do like no, I can't do it. I can't go high enough. I thought I could, and then I did it, and it sounded awful. do you remember it? Like
I don't remember the Wii U.
Did the
No, the
Xbox
Wii.
even have any cool ones? Because I don't remember any of them being like standoutish.
Yeah, the Xbox had a like The 360 had a little like swoosh when you started it.
Oh yeah,
I
there
liked
was that.
I like that one too.
I like the
Mhm.
womp.
The series has a weird one, and it's like the series one. It's like how do you describe it? It's like you're watching a movie, and like it's like that deep rumbling noise.
Yeah.
Oh,
Like when a movie starts, it's
I don't hate that.
and it's just like, okay, it's very dramatic, it's fine.
It's a little much.
But it's
yeah.
it's not, you know, like
Self-serious.
I think you were on the right idea with like the 360 one, the PS2 one. God, I think the PS2 one's got to be my favorite.
The PS1's my favorite by
so
far.
good.
the PS1's so good. It's just such a lot. It's a lot of noise,
Yeah.
but
It's
it all
long,
kind
too.
of satisfies at the end.
And then PS3, it's the orchestra tuning. Do
Yeah.
you remember that?
Yeah.
That's
I really
very
like that.
classy.
Yeah.
For your very business-like UI.
Yeah. No, there was some good stuff in there. I don't know if this fits this conversation because I think it's a hardware noise.
The whoomp was the PS2. Jesus,
I hate the
there's
beeping.
a lot of whoops.
I think it started with the PS3, but they all beep when you turn them on now.
Oh my god,
It's funny, that is now disableable on PS5
Okay, 'cause
enough people complained.
Well, yeah, the
You can
meme is that
you
it's
can
an
switch the
it's
it
an
wakes your
alert to tell
significant
your
other-
girlfriend or your parents that you're playing video games.
Right.
So like,
yeah.
just, whoever's gonna
I will
hassle you
say-
can do it.
PS5 startup sound pretty good. I
Yeah.
like that sound. The dun 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 dun.
I don't remember.
None of
the
us have any
PS4
singing skills,
one.
so I
No,
apologize.
yeah. The Steam Deck one's pretty good. It doesn't play very often though. I think it only plays. Does it play when you take it out of sleep? I can't remember.
The Steam Deck one can also be customized.
It can be. Yeah, you can
Yeah.
customize the
That's cool.
opening video.
You got.
I
there's
have
a
it. I like the
lot-
default.
Yeah, there's a lot of options through the
Steam
point
Deck's a good
system on
console.
Steam.
I can't wait for Steam OS to be
You can-
usable.
Like you can change everything about the Steam Deck through Steam.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I have to go back to the GameCube.
Go for it. Go for it.
The GameCube is so good.
Yeah.
The startup sound. It's just
You can change
I
it
can
based on
hear it
what
right
button
now.
you're holding on the controller too.
right. Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
finding that out by accident one day and just having my mind blown.
Yeah.
Oh,
GameCube's
man,
like
I'm very glad you brought up the sounds because that's so tied to my
all the sounds
memory
are like
of those
50% of the
UIs.
enjoyment
yeah.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and like not just the startup sounds, but the sounds of the UI themselves.
And you know what?
Like-
Throw a bone to Windows. I actually don't. I don't think Windows sounds are bad. I think the like little startup when you boot up a Windows PC. I think that sound is fine. It's
The Windows
that's
serviceable.
fine.
XP one was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
True.
Does
It's
10
only
have
gotten
one?
worse, but
Hold on. Does Windows 10 even have one, or do I have it turned off?
I have
Windows
one.
11 has one.
yeah, Windows 11 has one.
I don't know. I can't remember about Windows 10.
I think it did because I don't think there's not very many differences between 10 and 11.
But yeah, just again talking about sounds, I gotta defend the PS5 here. Like moving through the UI, the sounds are very pleasing to the ear.
I believe you because they have such a good track record. Would you believe I've still never touched a PS5 controller? Like
That's crazy.
I've
you
never
haven't even like
seen the
touched someone
console
else's
in person. It's just not come
Yeah.
up. I don't know anybody
Yeah.
other than you two. I think that other than you two, I don't think I know anybody. I don't see anybody in person regularly that has one. I'll
right.
go-
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll go there. So it just has not come up.
Yeah. No, yeah, man. UI sounds. And then I will give credit to Xbox here because they have persisted UI sounds that have been there since the 360 all the way up to the series
I can respect
consoles.
that.
And I like that a lot. Because I think
Yeah.
it adds a lot to have that like audio language be the same across generations. It reminds you kind of what your home is.
Can talk some weird ones for a second. A lot of these gaming handhelds like to just run Android, and they usually have some kind of front end over them, and those are
Yeah.
usually quite good. But the second you see Android, you are just in hell. Android is so horrible
Oh, yeah.
as a gaming OS. I think it's fine as a phone OS. I have like zero
Yeah.
beef with Android, or iOS for that matter. I think they're similar enough that there's really it just doesn't matter.
Especially now, yeah.
Gaming on an Android OS though, just it just
I
doesn't
will.
feel right.
Okay. When I have it, I have a trick on my phone. When I put that controller on it, because I mentioned, it boots straight into Samsung's gaming hub, which Google has an equivalent of that's open for everybody, but I use the Samsung one, which has full controller support. I select Moonlight, I boot into Steam Big Picture mode, and I'm looking at a very good gaming OS, like right off the rip. So like you can get around it. It's just like device setup is a pain every time, and it's always going to be, unfortunately. So those are pretty bad. Analog Pocket OS is literally just a list of game names. I think that's pretty boring, pretty bad.
Steam doesn't have a startup noise, does it?
Steam?
Yeah.
If you do big picture mode, it does.
It does.
Okay.
And it's quite good. And it's also, like Mike was saying earlier, same as Steam Deck, it is customizable.
That's cool.
Steam is actually all in CSS, like the actual windows. And
Oh,
everything.
no way, really?
So you can change everything about Steam. Like you can download skins for it.
Yeah.
Which is pretty cool. I've never done it.
Yeah, I like that.
I care very little. I like the game sorting on Steam.
That customizability is, I think, important. And again, I got to give points to the PS4 now. They had completely customizable backgrounds, and that's
good.
Completely removed for PS5. So that is definitely a downgrade from PS4.
Let me know. I think Steam is more. I think Steam needs this more because, like, I think it's less common for a console player to have a library that has hundreds of games in it, but it's actually pretty common on Steam. Steam has like automatic sorting of your games. Like you can say like, oh, I want a folder that contains all my games that have local co-op, and it will go through and sort your games for you and do that. But you can also tag your games yourself for search terms and stuff.
So it also has a really neat feature. You can also tag your games and sort them based on which of your friends own them.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah, that's very good.
I have an entire folder. Folder is dedicated to games that me and my friends all own together.
I should
we can
do
play
that.
with each other.
That's really cool.
Such a nice feature that I wish more things had.
Yeah.
So I don't have to sit there and say, "Do you own this?" I can just see in Steam.
Oh, how many times I've done that?
Yeah, that's very good. I mean, I can only comment on PlayStation's. It's not as good as that, but it does have sorting capabilities kind of similar to that. But that friend thing, that's golden. I'd hope for everyone to adopt that.
I want to just shout this out because it's pretty much standard now with everybody but Nintendo. OS level Discord integration. So good.
That's such a great thing to happen.
And it's
this
getting
generation.
better. It's getting better soon. I think you're gonna be able to like. It's essentially going to have a cross-play friends list through Discord.
There's like no shot though that Nintendo integrates Discord into Switch 2, right? They're gonna have their own like, here, download the Switch 2 app and then hook your phone to it and then talk to your phone.
But it is just, I don't know if you guys are this way, but like for a very long time, Discord has been the de facto voice chat for gaming. I haven't touched parties in any console.
And I think both Sony and Microsoft realized this and really got on it to integrate Discord into their ecosystems because they knew, like everyone wanted to use Discord. Their own solutions were fine, they were serviceable, but everyone was on Discord.
What I think is really strange is Steam still has voice chat, and I think of all of them, they have the least reason to have integrated voice chat.
Oh yeah,
like
who on Steam would use that?
I mean, I did
Discord?
For a long time pre-Discord. I used it all the time because it
pre-Discord, but like once Discord's, I mean, it's over now. Like Discord is the default chatting app.
It used to be Skype. If you're on PC, you would chat on Skype.
Yeah.
But Skype actually took up if you had a lower end PC, which I did at the time, it took up a significant amount of resources. So I would like ask people like, hey, if we were playing like Battlefield or something that was really using my PC, I would say like, hey guys, can we turn off Skype and talk over Steam so that my PC could get a breath of air?
Man, what a time. Yeah, I'm actually glad we talked about this. This was a nice trip down memory lane.
Yeah.
I do think modern console UIs are very good, I think. They give you a lot of information at a glance, and they try their best to be, like, elegant. I'm talking about, like, I'm mostly just talking about the PlayStation UI, right? Like, I think Xbox's UI has problems. I think the Switch's UI just doesn't do enough. But I as far as, like, a console UI goes, I think the PlayStation does it pretty well. But I do think, I will say, Mike, your point is to, like, bring back some of that style that we had in, like, the mid-2000s. I do miss that.
Yeah.
Something like the Blades that kind of differentiates it more from just, like, a PC under your TV. So
yeah.
I will say for my money, Steam Big Picture mode and the Steam Deck UI. The same thing, essentially. I think that is the best to do it, in my opinion, so far. Maybe not charm-wise, but functionality-wise. I am on my hands and knees begging Microsoft to let us add Game Pass games to Steam as non-Steam games, because you can do that with GOG, you can do that with Epic, you can add them very easily and have them all in that UI. There is no way to access Game Pass games from a good controller UI. There's just no way to do it at all, and that is like so painful because I pay for it, so I play a significant amount of Game Pass games, and there's just no. It's to the point that it is almost like if it's on a good enough sale, I think about buying a game that's on Game Pass on Steam just so that I can like not use Game Pass because their UI is so bad.
Yeah, that's a big sticking point, and it's very, I don't know, it's very confusing because I think Microsoft has so many easy wins on their hands that they could do if they just let go of certain things. Like Game Pass integration with Steam is a no-brainer, and it would get way more people to adopt Game Pass.
I mean, Microsoft is just constantly catching L's, I think. Like, they had the worst music player. They have the worst operating system. And I don't think this is by much. I don't think it's that much worse, but they have the worst console. Like, they're just not leading in anything that they do, other than like users.
And yet they're like the richest company in the world.
Windows does have the most users of any OS, but I think if we were to start from scratch right now,
right, and I don't think it would be the same.
I showed 3 people that had never seen a computer, Windows, Linux, and Mac. I think 99% of them would choose Mac, and the rest would choose Linux. Like, I just don't think anyone would choose Windows.
It is very much a case of they were there. Yeah. They have the inertia, and that's a very hard thing to overcome.
They had the worst phones that anyone has ever seen. Like, I don't know. I just couldn't be me, is what I'm saying.
But we are getting, I guess, this is slightly off topic, but I'll bring it up. But like, new Xbox consoles have been greenlit, and they're going to be closer to PCs than ever. What does that mean for the UI?
I mean, hopefully it means we get a gaming UI built into Windows, because it's not that I don't think they could do it. I do actually think that Microsoft could make a good UI for Windows if they wanted to. They just clearly don't have any interest in doing that for gaming. The Windows OS side, like the whole PC Game Pass, it feels like it is throwing scraps right now. But if the new console is very close to a PC, then maybe they can just give everybody the same as Steam did with Big Picture Mode. Just give everybody a pretty equal experience. And even if it's a different UI I have to boot into, like, I'm not that mad about it. I'll do it. Like, if I can add that UI as a game in Steam, then we're seriously cooking. Like, I don't care at all anymore.
Yeah.
So,
I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I look, the theoretical Xbox handheld, I look forward to hearing about. I do think they better hurry up, because Steam did, like, yesterday? No, what is today? 4 days ago, on Pi Day, they released a version of SteamOS that can be put onto any AMD-based Linux handheld.
Oh, very cool.
So those all, you can put SteamOS on there, and if you are not playing games that require Windows, you should, because the SteamOS experience on a gaming handheld is vastly superior to the Windows experience. The games run better. Like, that alone is a big step up, but it also just it's a better UI. It's miserable to use Windows with a controller and a touch screen.
Yeah.
It's just not made for it.
I can't imagine. Have used Windows with a controller before, though, when I've like paired a controller to Windows, and it's just
Steam controller was acceptable for it. It had trackpads on it. Like, it was fine. I still use my Steam controller, even though the bumpers don't work. I do still use it. Essentially, I have some hotkeys on it. My Steam controller can wake up my PC, and I have a hotkey to switch to my second monitor, which is my TV. And then I have a hotkey to boot into Steam Big Picture Mode, and then I turn off the controller and switch to a controller that actually works, because my Steam controller is broken.
Yeah.
But, that's the kind of stuff you have to do. You can, like, there's ways around that. I've seen people that, like, have scripts that they run. Like, if I connect a controller, switch to this screen, and immediately boot into Steam Big Picture Mode. Like, I've seen people that can set that up, but it takes so much technical knowledge.
Yeah, that's
And it's harder to do, like, if we're talking technical knowledge, usually people would say, well, Windows is better than Linux, but it is actually harder. It takes more technical knowledge to do something like that on Windows than it does on Linux, because they don't want you to do it. They don't
Right.
want you under the hood at all. It's super annoying. Don't even get me
Yeah.
started on kernel level anti-cheat. I don't know if we'll ever do an episode on that, but kernel level, the way Windows handles security is a nightmare. Also, of all the OSs we've talked about, which one do people get viruses on? Because it's not your PlayStation, and it's not Mac, and it's not Linux, and it's not Android, and it's not iPhone, and it's not your play. It's just Windows.
It's not your Nintendo DS.
Dog water.
I do appreciate that this the last bit of this segment just turned into an anti-Windows rant.
I've been thinking about it a lot lately. It was actually what made me think of this entire topic. But then I was like, oh no, we can make this not hate for an hour.
All right. Do we have any final thoughts on UIs, console operating systems?
Final shout out to PictoChat. Thank you for getting the Nintendo DS banned on school buses.
Never happened to me.
Oh really?
Yeah, mine wasn't banned either.
It was banned. It was banned. We went on field trips.
You guys must have had an incident.
We did. It was people drew penises on their PictoChat.
Oh,
and
well,
got caught. And
got caught.
Words.
Yeah, you just need to not get caught.
Yeah. If you don't have a snitch, you're good.
What have we been playing? Let me guess. Monster Hunter.
Yes, quite a bit of it.
So I think all three of us have played varying amounts of this the past week. So
I don't think I've played it in almost a week.
Tell me, but
you finished low rank, right?
Yeah, I finished low rank like last Tuesday, and I have
not. So it was after the episode.
Yeah, so I've only done 2 missions, right? The last mission in low rank and the first mission in high rank. So I've not.
Yankuku is the first mission of high rank, right?
Yeah, and again, I got frustrated there.
Yankuku is classic.
Well, no, it's not. It's not because of the monster. It's just like
you didn't know how to capture it.
It's like halfway through. It's like, all right, capture this thing now. It's like, okay, I'll capture it. And it's just like, how do you capture it? It's like, okay, well, you need trank bombs and shock traps. It was like, okay, I don't have any of those. They're in my sacred. I can't get them out of my sacred, so I'm gonna have to teleport back to a camp and then reorganize my items. And I was just like,
that actually happened to me too on this one.
This is the kind of stuff I don't like about this game.
So what you got to do? Here's the pro tip, and it's annoying that you have to do this. This is not a defense of the game, but this will help you not be annoyed. If you set up an item loadout and just get that loadout every time, because it gets rid of everything that's not in the loadout.
I think I could it's. All of that's fine, but I just didn't know ahead of time before I started the mission that I needed a shock trap and a trank bomb. I had no idea. And
but now in high rank, you should keep those things in your inventory at all times because
I figured, because that seems like a pretty core mechanic in this game now.
Yeah.
I just wish they would have told me that before I traipsed through the jungle
there's no reason
and hunted
for them
this
not
thing.
to, because there's a lot of walk and talk, and they don't at no point. And I think the reasoning is they don't want to give you, because I don't think they let you have the trank or the shock trap until the monster is capturable, because they don't want you to waste it.
Yeah, that's the other thing too, right? Like, since I had never used these items before, I laid the shock trap down, and I foolishly assumed that the trank bomb was something you shoot out.
Oh, yeah.
So I was a decent way away from the monster.
Yeah.
So I used my only shock trap. I was a decent way away from the monster, and I just threw a trank bomb down at my feet, and I was like, oh no. And then the monster was free, and I had no more shock traps, and I was just like, well, this sucks.
That's
But eventually, luckily, my faithful cat just threw down a shock trap.
Down another shock trap. That's
and
been
I was
80% of my captures were cat shock traps. So you want to hear something crazy? This is the first Monster Hunter game where you've been able to pick up a shock trap after you place it down.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Every other game before this. And so it was super common that you would place down a trap and the monster would turn around and walk away.
Yeah.
That happened all the time in the older games.
And then for a while there, I was really struggling. It was okay, I don't know how to make another one of these. I'm looking around. I don't know if there's any items here I can make another one. Am I just screwed? I'm going to have to restart this mission. But then the cat threw it down. I was
threw it down. They're cheap.
But it's still this kind of, and again, this is another one of those things where the more I play, the less this is going to be a problem.
Yeah.
But for new players, I'm these little annoyances really add up, and they're entirely avoidable. I think these are all things that can be.
That one especially.
addressed.
Because what you said is true. They literally just could have said something like,
Yeah.
"Hey,
I
Hunter,
could have
make sure you have
prepared before I
inventory
went,
space."
you know?
They even
Like,
could, diegetically, make sure you have room in your bag. Like,
yeah, I would have made
Yeah.
room in my bag before I left, but I didn't know. Like,
No.
they didn't say anything, so I went on this hunt, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Okay, do this thing that you've never done before."
No, and when
don't
you
have
read
the ability to do."
capture, like naturally, you're gonna think it's the capture net. Which
I
it's
did
not.
try the capture net.
Yeah.
I did try it.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
knew
'cause,
that.
like,
I knew
at
people
first
would
it
do
was
that.
like, capture the thing, and then I just started shooting my net at it. I was like, "Okay,
Yeah.
this clearly isn't right." And then I was just like, "You know what? I'm just gonna keep attacking it, and, maybe the game will tell me what to do." And that's what happened.
Yeah, and it's easier
Whereas
than
it's
ever
like
before. In older so in this game, you can tell a monster is capturable because a little skull starts showing up on the minimap. That's when you can tell that you crossed that threshold. That's
I didn't
that's the
even know that.
surefire
Okay.
way to know.
And
In
that's
the older
also
games,
when they're below 20% health.
it's below 20% health. In the older games, the only way to know for sure was when they started limping. A monster that was limping was capturable. And if you were doing too much damage, sometimes you would kill it before it ever got a chance to limp, and that would be really annoying. So they kind of got past that.
Yeah. But it's just like, like these problems are solvable, which is
Yeah.
a little frustrating to me that like especially in this Monster Hunter, which is more geared toward new players than ever, that they still have some of these kind of issues for new players. But, it's fine. It's not like convincing me to never play it again or anything. I'm
No.
still enjoying my time with it. It's just airing out some frustrations.
I'm a little upset that there were no capture quests in low rank, because you could I'm pretty sure you could capture the monsters anytime you wanted to in low rank. It just never taught you how to. The only non-capturable monster in this game is Jindahad.
Why is that? Is he too big?
Too big?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's everybody's guess is that he's too big. Historically, elder dragons can't be captured, but there are no elder dragons in this game, so yet. I want to know.
So the last mission, right? Like
When you're him,
the glaze was off the charts. It was
so
just
good.
like it's like what did they even say? Like he can do it. It's because he's him. Like,
I love it.
It was great.
They're like
was about
ready.
to
He's about to sacrifice his
himself,
culture.
basically.
And you put your hand on your
And you're
shoulder.
just
And he's
like, "There's
there is
another
another
way."
way. We can do the thing that always works.
Just let me beat the absolute crap out of this.
That's
thing.
a sick boss fight, dude. Zoshia. Like,
yeah, that was a good boss fight.
did it hit for you guys? Because it hit for me, but for reasons that it's not going to hit for you.
I mean, it hit in the sense that it was very hyped that my character was just like, let me at him, like,
Yeah,
I'm him.
I'm him.
That was
That was
cool.
all I
Like,
got. Was
But in terms of the story itself, it didn't really
The story.
do anything for me.
The story hits for me because that is not like it is an original monster, but it is clearly a synthetic version
Right.
of a very scary monster from past games.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Wow,
and that is
okay.
not immediately clear in the fight until you see its moveset, and like as it breaks apart, it becomes clear. And it is also like there are fan theories that it's not entirely synthetic because the monster that it is mimicking, like if they used any of its actual parts, that monster in lore can regenerate like from a single scale or something crazy. Like like the lore is crazy around it. I don't want to spoil anything for people that aren't like I guess we already are spoiling the game. I don't know. It's cool. It's a really cool lore piece, and you can't fight Zoshia again. That is
Really?
it's Guardian, Arkveld, and Zoshia are non-repeatable fights. You never get another chance to fight them.
So you fight Arkvelds that aren't?
Yeah, the end of the game they show you that egg, right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
It's not a guardian anymore because once it reproduces, it's like an actual
Okay,
animal. So
I gotcha.
so there's literally no difference between them that I know of, other than that one is low rank, one is high rank. But when they say the game has 29 monsters, they're counting Guardian, Arkveld, and Arkveld as different monsters, which I think is a little sketchy. I don't think that's really fair.
I guess lore-wise, it makes sense that Zoshia was a one-time fight, but it would be cool to fight him again.
He will probably come back in title updates because I don't think it's ever been done that there is a monster that you can only fight once and has no armor. There's no craftable Zoshia armor or anything or weapons.
Oh, really? Okay.
And it's like
I guess that makes sense.
It's a cool fight, There's
Yeah.
a lot to it and you only get to do it once. So hopefully that comes back, and a high rank version of that fight is going to be crazy.
Yeah, I haven't really. So yeah, I've
Yeah, you've
barely
only played
sunk
the
my
one mission.
teeth into
Yeah.
high rank. One thing I will say surprised me is that I expected high rank to be more like, okay, menu, here's the thing, do the thing. But it's very much still
We only played the one
more
mission.
story, yeah.
It is
Yeah, only the one mission.
after that mission. It is open the map.
Oh, really?
Select what you
Okay.
want to do. Yeah, there
Because like I
are
was surprised because there was more cutscenes, there was more like dialogue.
that's there. It's just
yeah.
intermittent. It's not back to back to back anymore. It is like,
Okay.
oh, you reach hunter rank 10. We've got a little bit more for you. Oh, you reach hunter rank 20. We've got a little bit more for you. But in between those hunter ranks, you are just picking a monster you want to fighting it.
Yeah.
Moving on.
And I will say, it's very unfortunate that like I got to play so little this week because I played it after not playing it for about a week, and my
Oh,
skills deteriorated heavily.
that's tough because
And I had to really,
Yongkuku's
yeah.
not easy either. Yongkuku is a
yeah, surprisingly was difficult. Yeah.
he just does stuff that no other monster in the game really does. Like he moves like a truck, and there's just kind of no counter to it. You just have to get out of the way, and like spitting the fire off to the sides.
I will say I did use my dual blades for that fight, and it was the right choice because
Yeah.
I was so quick.
Oh
right?
yeah.
Like, and the dodges, the perfect dodges let me enter that mode, and I was able to dish out a lot of damage very quickly. I think it would have been way harder with my longsword to do that fight.
I will say, I don't want to give you FOMO, but I am about to give you a little FOMO. You have already missed one of the event quests. It has been taken out of rotation. You had to be Hunter rank 9 to do it, and I believe it was the one that lets you wear an animal on your head as a helmet.
Oh, so that's just gone forever?
It'll be back, probably. For Monster Hunter World, they rotated them, but
Okay.
it is unavailable now.
Well, that's kind of cool that they have limited stuff like that to incentivize. But that's the other thing. I didn't even know this was a thing. So
yeah, it shows up. I don't know how this works on consoles where you use sleep mode and stuff, because when I launch the game, a news page pops up like first thing and tells me like what's going on as far as stuff like this.
and
like when
does that happen for me? I don't think so. Like when I go to the quest person, there's event stuff there.
That's where that just shows you the quest. There's actually like a news when you go to, I think it's the person who gives you food, the
ingredient center
also does, and that's where you claim, like if you pre-ordered the game, that's where you claim your free DLC and stuff too.
Okay.
And
I
wouldn't surprise me if you haven't done that, because I didn't.
Is that the Hope Amulet?
No, that's the guild layered armor set, I think.
I don't know, man.
You probably you wouldn't use it even if you had it. I don't think you'll like it much. I don't like
what even is. Yeah, I saw that term come up once already. Layered armor. I'm like not even sure what that is.
Once you reach high rank, when you craft the high rank version of an armor, you can wear it only aesthetically if you want, and that's called layered armor.
Oh, okay. So it's just like a cosmetic thing.
Yeah, it's just a cosmetic thing. I don't know. I'm excited that you guys are joining me in high rank. We'll be able to play together pretty soon. That's the only thing about
that's the whole like other
yeah, you still haven't
I feel like I haven't
yet.
really gotten the Monster Hunter experience, because Monster Hunter has traditionally always been go with your friends and hunt monsters. And I haven't done that yet. So
I've been really enjoying my high rank end game experience, because it is like I mentioned what I do, which is like check the lobby and see what people are doing. But there are times when I'm like looking at my map and I see like, oh, this has killer rewards, and it's not an Arkveld, which everybody is sick to death of hunting. Arkveld is like it's like I think twice as good as any other monster in the game, and I actually don't think it's like the most compelling hunt. I vastly prefer. I think it's probably my least favorite of the main end game hunts, which are the Apexes and Gormagala. I think Gormagala is my favorite, and Arkveld is probably my least favorite. But he has the best rewards, so he's all anybody is doing, which is kind of exhausting to me. But you can tell, like, you're like, oh, this is giving me a ton of like high level decorations and relics, and so I boot it up, and like without fail, if I think that to myself, I have a full party within a few minutes of the hunt of people that have just joined from the lobby, and I think that's like a cool social side of the game, especially because like I didn't invite them or anything, but I am like them fainting. Like I do have to keep them alive now, even though I didn't really choose to invite them. You can block people.
Right.
You can say that you have to accept people to the quest, but I like the idea of randoms joining in on me. So
Yeah, I see that lobby all the time, and every time I boot up the game, I just start it in like that single player
Recommended.
lobby. But
Yeah. Oh, you do single player lobby.
yeah,
Why?
so I don't know. Like I just assume that's because I was playing single player. I was just like, I guess I'll be in a single player lobby.
The only
but like,
difference is
I need to explore that whole system a little more.
yeah, now that you're in high rank, you should just hit recommended lobby every time.
Okay, yeah.
The only advantage to single player is that you can pause the game. If you're not doing that, you shouldn't. And use photo mode. Photo mode and pausing are exclusive to single player lobbies.
Pausing is pretty important.
Pausing is nice, yeah. So I use a single player lobby if I'm like playing while like have something cooking or something like in the oven.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you missing out on the multiplayer. Like the only thing you really missed out on the story is that you could see other players around camp and stuff in between missions.
Okay.
That's all you really missed out on there. But in high rank, it's like a significant part of the experience, in my opinion.
Okay.
Just having randos
Yeah,
join
so I'll probably
in.
do that going
Yeah.
forward. It is unfortunate though because I won't get to play it for another several days.
Ah, really?
But yeah,
I
I'm
got-
going to
that gives
visit
me
my
time.
cousin like
I gotta
tomorrow.
I gotta put together a early high rank gear set so that I can like not cream monsters if I play with you.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like the disparity's got to be crazy because you've got like what 80 hours or something now.
I'm just under 70.
Okay,
But
yeah.
the disparity between early high rank and in-game high rank is not as big as you would think. It is
Okay.
smaller
I
than
still don't have any like high rank weapons or armor. So
yeah, you want to get
once I start doing that, I guess.
yeah, you want to get early like the worst high rank armor is going to be better than the best low rank armor.
Mhm.
Same with weapons. So
It's a shame though, because like I really like how I look right now.
yeah, well you'll be high rank moves pretty quick. Like
Yeah.
all of the non-apexes you can hunt pretty much right off the rip in high rank. So I saw you were like in the Ajarkon gear. Like you can just go get that like immediately.
Okay. Yeah.
So what about you, Mike? What's your high rank thought?
So my high rank thought, I'm liking layered armor. I like how I can just make myself look however I want, and I don't have to care anymore.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think I just got past the frenzy virus,
Mhm.
so I know the game's about to open up past here. And I picked up greatsword at some point during high rank.
You fight your first tempered monster. Have you done that yet?
No, I haven't fought a tempered yet.
Okay. Sorry.
No, I've been having fun just gearing into greatsword for fun.
Oh yeah.
Greatsword does look like fun.
It's
does.
it's so much fun. Its guard is so quick. It's kind of
Yeah.
ridiculous. Perfect guarding is kind of ridiculous, and I'm just sitting there perfect guarding Chadas for hours, or like an hour.
Yeah.
Like get perfect guarded, idiot.
Yep.
It was so easy. Like I've been playing through the game with a harder weapon, and now I've swapped the greatsword, and the guard comes out in 2 frames.
You took the training weights
doesn't
off.
matter.
You can go unga bunga now.
Yeah. No, I still use charge blade though for bigger monsters because I like it more.
I like the
But
charge blade.
greatsword's just kind of fun to pull out when I need a tail chop.
Charge blade is what I've been using for the end game mostly because there's a little bit of weirdness with the hunting horn. Most of the end game hunting horns require an input that is kind of tricky to get right. So I switched to charge blade mostly.
Yeah.
Yeah. You still you're playing with your girlfriend mostly, right?
Yeah, mostly.
Nice.
Girlfriend and coworker.
Nice. Yeah, I hopped into your party once or twice, I think, but I didn't end up joining you guys for any hunts.
Yeah, because I think I was
It's
playing
bad timing.
solo there for a little bit, and I was about to get off
Yeah.
because we
At some
had
point
an
we should all
informal
hunt something
pact.
together though.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
The second you guys have tempered monsters, that's when the game kind of flattens. Because there's like
Okay.
there
yeah.
are like no tempered monsters in the game that aren't at least like reasonably fun for me to hunt.
Yeah.
So I think that's like hunter rank 20, something like that.
So very soon.
Yeah. I don't know. I have other games that I want to play right now. Like I started Wanderstop and I want to play that game through, but even though I'm not super loving it, I'm not going to talk about it too much. I'm not in love with it yet, but I just keep every time I boot up my PC, it's like Wanderstop is there.
Yeah.
But Monster Hunter's also right there. Even though I have like nothing, no mountain left to conquer. Like I essentially have my end game build put together, but I just like it. I just like hunting those apexes over and over again. And Rathalos is still pretty fun. Doshiguma. A tempered Doshiguma is pretty fun, especially Guardian Doshiguma. It's a good game. I can't put it down.
Yeah, maybe one day I'll get to actually play it for an extended period of time.
I actually
It's
picked
not.
up
It's not a good time for me right now to play video games.
Monster Hunter
Unfortunately.
Generations Ultimate is $10 on the Switch eShop right now. That game is only on the Nintendo Switch. So gold points are expiring. So I had $5 in gold points. So I went ahead and picked that up for $5. I don't know when I'll get around to playing it, but I have enough
Nice.
Monster Hunter to wet my whistle for the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
Hold me over till the new content comes out. There's new content coming to Wilds in sometime early April, so like a couple weeks, something like that.
Yeah. I'm excited for the content drip, and I'm even more excited for like the big update because I know that's usually like when
Like
the game
the
goes
Master
into
Rank.
overdrive. Yeah.
That's going to be hard
Master Rank,
typically.
yeah.
Like Master Rank is typically like when it like in game of Master Rank is usually more comparable to a Souls game, like in difficulty.
Yeah.
Ooh.
It gets pretty tough. I will say I strongly suspect that the content that drops in April is going to be end game. I think it's going to want you to be like Hunter rank 40 for it. So
Dang.
Hunter ranks go up pretty quick, Emmett. It's like 1 rank a hunt or something. So
I did notice I went up from 8 to 10, so I was like, "Oh, okay.
Yeah.
we're hitting the accelerator now."
yeah, I'm like
this.
110, 120 right now. They're just going up very fast. It's
Like 1/12 of your rank.
I will probably like. There's a good chance I hit 999 before Master Rank comes out. Just
That's
'cause
crazy.
I can't put the game down,
Yeah,
especially now that I have it streaming to my phone or something. Like I'll just kick my feet up. Like
the real Monster Hunter experience.
it
on
is.
A
It is a
portable.
really
Yeah.
good portable series. Like I can't deny that, especially if you're like only engaging with the combat, which is what I typically do on my phone. Just kick your feet up and beat the hell out of some monsters. It's so
Yeah.
fun.
All right, I did play some Split Fiction, but I think I'm gonna hold off on it. I want to talk about it again when I finally beat it, and we didn't get to beat it.
That's where I'm at
Yeah,
with Wander
but-
Stop. I
yeah.
haven't fully metabolized
a great game.
my opinion on it.
Mm-hmm.
Mike, I
All right,
hear-
do we
So
have any other?
I have a game, but it is a sad game because
Oh.
19 years ago, a single guy created a browser-based zombie survival game called Urban Dead.
haven't
I
heard of
got
this.
into it about 2012. And it is a game where you can either be a survivor or a zombie, and you can kind of swap in between the two, given the fact that you can get revived. Completely browser-based, completely text-based, and it just shut down last, 4 days ago.
Sad.
Finally, for real.
Mm.
And at points, it had sieges, and it was, 100 by 100 grid of blocks is how the game operated. So each block was either an empty space or a building. And you could barricade the buildings. Zombies could rip down the barricades. You could play as a suicidal survivor who just wanted to rip down barricades and kill other players. You could quite literally do anything within the limits of the game. And the game was host to some of the longest sieges I've seen in games. And in any kind of browser or survival game. There were sieges of malls that last 3 months.
Wow.
Where zombies were trying to break down the mall. But
And these are all like actual players.
these are actual people. Everything in the game was done by actual people. All the lore, all the survivor groups,
That's
all
so
like
cool.
the in-jokes, the radio stations, everything run by
Wow.
survivors. Run by people.
Why did it shut down? It sounds like it had a thriving community.
It kind of did, but it kind of got dropped as an active project by the solo dev
Hmm.
10 years ago.
Mm.
Oh.
But people kept playing it. People kept coming back to it because it was just something. It was easy. You had 50 action points a day, and they restored every 30 minutes. Or you restored one every 30 minutes. And everything cost an action point. Moving between blocks, barricading, any kind of attack.
Interesting.
Everything cost action points. So the game just boiled down into whoever had more numbers would win.
Right.
But it was enjoyable and fun, and even the zombies had their own method of speech in their own language. There's so much community input into this game that if you are ever bored, just read through the wiki. You'll have a great time. It's the
Yeah, I mean,
only
it
way you
sounds
can
like
experience it.
it sounds like an EVE Online level, like, community-focused story situation.
Yeah, I operated entirely out of a hospital where our only nourishment were cheese puffs. That was all we did. This ragtag organization of survivors, and I think we had like a revive point up one block north, so that if you died, you just sat there until someone left the hospital, grabbed you, and then you went back inside where it's safe.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's sad that it's gone because I've been playing it on and off for almost a decade.
Oh wow.
Like,
You never talked about it.
I never did because it was just one of those games that was just in the background and it was
Yeah.
never notable
Mm.
enough to talk about until
You only got 50
until it's
actions a
gone.
day too, so I figured.
Yeah.
I mean, how long would it take to do 50 actions?
50 if I was traveling 10 minutes. I could go
Okay,
through
yeah.
50
So this
blocks
was-
in 10 minutes. Like
It was something you had to check in on
super
daily.
quick. Yeah, it was super quick.
That's
Even
Did
in a
anything
siege situation.
Did anything special happen on the last day? Did the
I
community do
saw
anything?
everyone logged on. I saw so many people. The little hospital that I was in a survivor group with was suddenly full of like 30, 40 people when it had been empty for months, years.
That's sweet.
Mm.
Not
Yeah,
enough
a
cheese
lot of
puffs,
people
probably, though.
came back in to play the game. We started having zombies breaking in all of a sudden. It was
Yeah.
nice. It was wild to see all these things happen. The mall that had the longest sieges had one final siege for 7 days before it shut down. It did fall into zombie hands, unfortunately, but one final siege was done. All the zombies came back. All the zombie players came back.
That's
Everyone
cool. That's
kind
like
of had their
a
last stands.
That's cool. That's a cool little moment.
you're
Yeah.
not gonna have something like that again. That's
No.
Sadly, the game just stopped working. There was no
the
the
No
quarantine's
ceremony.
over. There's no nuke.
Yeah.
There's nothing boring. It's just like, oh yeah, it's gone.
It's gone.
But
Yeah, that would have been cool if there was like an event.
the players kind of made the best of it. And I'm still in a Discord of a bunch of players cataloging what they were doing in their individual groups at the end of the game.
It's a shame he didn't
Mm.
just open source it if it was a solo
Yeah.
dev.
He thought about it, but I think there's already clones in the making. I think people have
Okay.
already gotten a clone up and running.
I mean, it sounds like
Mhm.
a cool format that I don't hear much
The
of.
only reason he shut it down was because of a change in UK law. That was it.
Oh.
If they hadn't changed the law, it's very likely the game could have made it another 20 years,
Yeah.
30, 40 years. It could have been going
It's
forever.
weird to think about.
If the player numbers weren't there, a lot of people had just kind of forgot about it. It's very easy once you get bored to just hop out. And for a
Mhm.
long time, it was just like the social media. You just come on, chat with your buds in the hospital and log off. And yeah, oh God, it's just a lot of history that happened just in game. All these notable events, these sieges,
Right.
the fact that a suburb has been ruined for so long because a group of zombies actively keep it that way. like they have their own barricade policy, and it's if there's barricades, you will die. They will find you. They will kill you. It was tough for a new player. It was not very welcoming for new players because before you get the free running skill, you can't enter any buildings that have been barricaded past a certain point. So there was a certain level of friction for a new player to get in there,
Mhm.
but at the same time, you really didn't need new players. You didn't need to grow the game. It was just a game created for the sake of being a game, which we lose a lot of those every day. There was no monetization. There was no buy a premium subscription to get more action points. Everyone was bound by the same exact rules and laws. Which
Yeah. No, that's definitely like I mean it's a relic of the past.
that's such
And I
a relic.
I do really like that you said there is a wiki they can like kind of preserve that history because I just think that's the coolest thing when these
Yeah.
kind of games develop their own history through their community.
Their own history. Every group has their own page. Every
That's sick.
It's so sick. Like, the wiki had so many people dedicated to keeping it updated that pretty much daily in populated suburbs, people would be updating the status of buildings. Like, is this building broken? Is it on? Are the lights on? Is it safe?
Yeah,
Are there survivors here? How many zombies are outside?
that's cool.
Yeah, it's so nice. The zombie players had their own language using their rudimentary text system of like a skill. It You can't you're not gonna get a lot of things like this anymore because you're just gonna search monetization or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is really rare that he just made it without really any intention of
Yeah.
making money. It was just a
It was
cool thing,
supported by
project.
ads entirely.
Mm.
It Like, no one expected it to shut down, they just expected it to eventually fizzle out.
Yeah.
But yeah, I miss it already. Even though I took like a year-long hiatus
Well,
from
you are
it.
in that Discord group, and like you said, people are already trying to get clones up and running. So
Yeah.
hopefully that community can kind of migrate
Yeah, the
somewhere.
community's there, the people are there. There's a lot of names that I recognize. I'm like, I haven't seen this name in forever.
Do you know what the UK law was?
What was it? Hold on. It was a change in. Let me see. I'm looking it up right now.
Yeah, what could it
Hold on.
possibly
The
like?
UK law was it was UK website legislate the Online Safety Act.
Safety.
So
Ugh.
Yeah, I find that dubious. That sounds
yeah,
like
the act.
a protect the children kind of thing.
It was used. It applies to all content services online, and he shut it down just because of fines.
Hmm.
Mm. I'm sure, like, if he had cared enough. Well, I don't want to say
He
like that.
didn't have the
I'm
time. He
right.
didn't
Like
have the time
this
to
is
do it.
something he built like a decade ago in his spare time. He's got
Yeah.
other things going on, but I'm. This sounds like the kind of thing where if there was like a
He had
fundraiser or
to
something, the
enforce
community could have
he had to
raised the funds
enforce
to pay the
age
fines.
limits and everything now,
Mm.
which is the biggest thing. Like, he has to enforce age limits on his website.
Yeah,
Which
that's
Right.
hard for a small
It's
developer.
hard
That's
for a
very
small
hard.
developer to support. So he just shut it down. He just killed it.
Well,
He didn't
rest
want,
in
and
peace.
the fines were heavy corporate size. He just didn't want to
Oh
do it.
yeah,
19
yeah.
years.
That makes sense from his
So
perspective.
the full length of the game was 19 years, 8 months, and 11 days was how long this game existed.
Dang, almost 2 decades.
Almost 2 decades of quarantine. Like, and in that time, a community took a simplistic browser game, a browser text game, and turned it into its own world with its own lore and everything.
And those are like the coolest story. Like those,
Yeah.
for my money, tend to be better than any like written story for a
Yeah.
game. They tend to be, especially if you're a part of them, they're just far more
Yeah.
fascinating.
People would just pretend to be whatever they wanted. You had people who were dual nature, where if they died and became a zombie, they'd play as a zombie until they were revived. You had death cultists, where if they were revived as a zombie, they'd just start causing havoc. You had serial killers. You had bounty hunters. You had
Love
everything.
a role play game.
Like,
I think that's like this is like a tangent, but I think that's like the good part of Sword Art Online. I think is like it capturing the role play that players do in a game like that is like the most interesting part of that show.
yeah, you had people with trench coats full of shotguns. Like,
Yeah.
it didn't matter. You had them all. And you don't get that kind of space in modern games that have these heavy systems driven mechanics, where this just has a search system and a bunch of describers that you can apply to yourself in a bio function. And people went nuts with it. Ron Burgundy's in this game.
Yeah.
Someone decided to be Anchorman. Like, you don't get that in modern games anymore.
No.
And it's sad to see something where people created their own community, their own space, just disappear.
There's like an old age
Mhm.
of browser game that's like dying out too. Like
Yeah.
Adventure Quest, Mech Quest, all those Quest games. Did you guys ever play any of those?
Yeah.
I think I briefly played Adventure Quest.
They were weird little games.
Yeah. Well, that's so cool. I'm glad you shared that with us, Mike.
Yeah.
Because I had no idea this even existed. But
Yeah,
now
a
we've
lot
kind
of
of
people didn't. I think PC Gamer did a write up on it
Yeah,
on its final days.
a
Yeah,
beautiful.
I've seen
eulogy.
various PC Gamer like articles about it over the years. But yeah,
it kind of reminds me of like the Minecraft one, 2B2T,
Oh yeah,
where
I
like
love
you know Fit
I love
MC.
Fit MC's video.
He regales us with these
the
epic
oldest anarchy
stories.
server in Minecraft.
I know, like
Anarchy server.
it's
But-
really funny because he makes it sound like these epic events.
he's like an archaeologist.
perpetuated by
Yeah.
Goliaths.
Yeah, there's
Titans in history, and it's just like
It's Pop
8
Bob.
dudes. Like, you know, it's funny.
like
Yeah.
the only rules of this game were the mechanics of the game. That was it. You could quite literally do what you wanted, and honestly, it was it was peaceful because there weren't a lot of people that played it. It was not massive, so I guess a lot of the unsavory people kind of stayed away. But it was just a zombie game. That's all you had to do. Survive the zombie apocalypse. That was your only goal. And to see people form these pseudo governments of suburbs is wild.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like a fascinating experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, I might peruse the wiki just to see a little bit, peek a little bit behind the curtain there.
Pay your respects.
Yeah.
Pay my respects. Yeah, I use that term all the time. It's really funny because like not even for things dying or going away, just like I'm gonna stop by the butcher to pay my respects. You know, like
Well,
Yeah.
something is dying.
well,
Something's
that's
dead.
true. But like more to just like ogle at the fine meats.
Yeah. To respect the meats, yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, I've kind of co-opted that phrase to my own ends.
You'll get
but-
that off the ground.
Yeah, he has
All
a
right.
whole blog of things that he's made too.
Is he still like making stuff?
Yeah. Kevin,
that's cool.
Kevin, or is it Kevin? Kevin Davis is still making things. Fiction, websites, web games, pervasive games, card games.
What's a pervasive game?
I don't know. I don't exactly know what he
Yeah.
means by pervasive game.
Well, we can swing back.
Oh,
to that.
it's like a game
Should-
that you do in public. It's like a public
Oh.
game.
Couldn't
yeah.
Oh, interesting.
going.
Well,
in
it's cool that
public.
he's still doing stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Anything else to say here?
Nope.
We ended up going just as long as our other episodes. We always find a way, even when we have a short topic.
Yeah, we find
But
a way.
next week, we're also going to pay our respects to another gaming console, the Nintendo Switch, because we're going to be coming up on that imminent Switch 2 Direct, which is insane to think about. I won't be there for that, which makes me want to kill myself. But
But me and
It is
Michael
what it
have all
is.
the coverage you need.
yeah, that's like the
Wait,
one.
is that our next episode? Is it the Switch 2?
No, it's the
no,
episode
our
after.
next one is like a Switch goodbye episode,
Oh God.
and then the one after that, it's the Switch 2 Direct. So, man,
Oh,
I
that's so
can't believe I'm gonna
close.
miss that.
Oh, that gives me a lot of time to research for that a certain episode.
Yeah, it does.
Oh boy.
All right. I think that will do it for us this week. Thank you all for listening. You can follow us at Podcast Game Talk on Instagram, Blue Sky, TikTok, and YouTube. You can click the link in the description to join our Discord and talk to us there. And please like, rate, and review us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, SoundCloud, or any other podcast services you use. Thank you, Connor and Mike.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
See you next week.
See you next week. Bye.